Did you know that Martin Shkreli, the Pharma Bro himself, is actually a big fan of Algorand? I don't know if you know that, but I'm going to react to one of his videos on Algorand on today's Frugal BC. Let's take a look at this now. I know a lot of people know who the Pharma Bro is. He was famous for spiking up drug prices on a particular drug, and he went to prison for unrelated crimes. Actually, I don't remember what the crimes he went to prison for, but he's out. He is developing a project in the medical space based on like ChatGPT, AI, basically creating like an AI doctor. It's a really interesting project, but not something I'm super familiar with. I only know it from a very 30,000 foot view. But he recently put out a video on Algorand, which I thought was really, really interesting. It's actually part of a bigger live stream. So he does these live streams and then he takes the live stream, clips it up into kind of a hodgepodge of different little clips from his live streams and just posts them on YouTube. And they're usually pretty interesting, honestly. I watched a lot of them and I've learned a lot about investing, a lot about, I mostly just stick with index funds anyway, but I think the information is very interesting. Always worth talking about these kind of things. And guys, if you haven't already, please do hit the like and subscribe button. Also, big shout out to our sponsors, non-fungible domains, which a good way to get that .algo address for your wallet address. Makes it a lot easier than those letters and numbers. You just go to non-fungible domains. And we're brought to you by Fractal Monsters. Love these guys. They are creating a great game that's on the Algorand blockchain that's basically kind of a mix between Pokemon and Tamagotchi. A little bit of Smash Brothers thrown in there too. Like these guys, great partners, both. Anyway, we're going to look what he has to say on Algorand. So first, I'm going to have you watch the clip, and then we're going to discuss it a little bit.
Employees, current, former, etc. Yourself, go on LinkedIn, call them up, smile and dial. That's what we call it. Visit AMC locations. Great idea. Site visit. What else?
I have a question just about, you have obviously Algorand in your name. I'm just curious about your thoughts on the strength of decentralization in proof of stake systems where I suppose the more money you have, the more influence you have. Like, how do you think, why would you, not that you suggest it, but why do you think potentially that proof of stake is better than proof of work as a consensus mechanism?
Oh, geez, good question. I don't know that it matters that much. I think that there's bigger issues, like how do you keep your network participation up and network, usage up? And that's kind of the bigger folly. I think the actual plumbing and consensus mechanism, as well as even things like security, generally will become homogenized. I think throughput and actual node usage or node creation, I guess, network effect is the most important thing. Otherwise the currency or token or whatever you want to call it backing the system will atrophy. And I think we're going to start seeing that, quite frankly, if we haven't started seeing it already. Something's happening, obviously. People really need to use the currency for it to be valuable. And I think that for practical things, and I think that we're sort of realizing that a lot of money is backing not a lot of use case, in the case of a lot of these tokens. And that's includes Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I think that the tail can't wag the dog. Like, you can't have lots of speculation on these tokens and without a lot of mainstream use. And I think we basically don't get much mainstream use at all. In fact, most of the mainstream use is just speculating and kind of get rich quick speculation. So, we really need to transition from a Wild West to a place where you're actually using it more than you're worried about the speculation. You want utilization to be 90% of the use and speculation to be 5 or 10%. I think that, unfortunately, we have I wouldn't even say the other way around. I think it's 99% speculation and 1% use. So it's unfortunate. And with limited throughput, you're going to have network migration. Like, why would you use Bitcoin or Ethereum with the amount of throughput that exists? Of course, you can duct tape on something with higher throughput, but that's kind of, it's pretty easy. Bitcoin and Ethereum aren't that established that it's not just easier to move on to something that's originally just been designed better. So to me, I think there's good news and bad news in blockchain. The good news is it's an important technology that's going to stick around for a long time and change the world. The bad news, I'm not sure it's going to be Bitcoin or Ethereum. Heck, I'm not even sure it's going to be Algorand. It's a weird space where there's not much friction, right? I mean, there's friction for the guy that owns a lot of Bitcoin. He doesn't want to move. But there's no friction for the guy or gal that just wants a blockchain that works and has a lot of throughput. In fact, that person has like almost negative friction. They want to leave the current crappy systems that exist. So I don't know, hopefully that makes a little sense. But
okay, so thanks for watching that clip. Now I want to touch on some of the points that he said here, because I think they're really interesting. First, he says he doesn't think that there's much of a difference between proof of stake or proof of work, and the fact that it just doesn't matter that much. And I kind of agree, kind of don't. Obviously, proof of stake is going to be a better selling point because it has a lower environmental impact. But I haven't seen a lot of evidence that the mainstream public cares too much about that. I think they would if they were aware of that, but most people just have no idea. They don't know what proof of work is, proof of stake is. So I kind of take his point there, absolutely. Although I think it matters, and I think it's a good thing. Proof of stake is a good thing just because it's so much less energy dependent. I do think that the general public just isn't aware. The bigger question, he says, is how do you keep network participation and usage up? An actual node creation and use really is the most important thing in terms of and actually he says network effect is the most important thing. And I 100% agree. Reason why Algorand struggles, well, it's something that's much more clunky, like Ethereum, continues to prosper and is worth much, much more, is because there's actually people on it. So when you have a huge network effect, you just have a big user base. So people want to build on Ethereum because it has a bigger user base. And that's right now. There may be some day where this stuff is powering the sort of implied user base will be full of people who have no idea about crypto. They're just using the product and it happens to be built on crypto. That's kind of the future where you want to get to. But right now, what he's saying makes a lot of sense. Ethereum has just a huge network effect, and that's why the price is so much higher. That's why there's so many more people using Ethereum, even though it works like junk. Whereas, and we'll get to that, by the way, even though it works like junk, and Algorand actually works. I mean, that's the whole reason I'm on Algorand, because Algorand actually works. It functions. You can use it. The reason I do so much content on Algorand is because I can actually use the projects that are built. Obviously, there's not perfect. We've covered plenty of the foibles in Algorand. We covered the good, the bad, and the ugly. And by the way, if you like this kind of stuff, please hit the like and subscribe button. As I forgot to say in yesterday's video, you don't have to smash it. You can just press it gently, and it works just fine. We usually do the experiment and with different projects in crypto and just let you know how it actually goes. So no BS, no washing over the icky stuff. We give you the full story here. And today we're talking about Martin Shkreli's Algorand video, and he said something that I think is really, really smart. He said a lot of value is backing not a lot of use case. That's something I've been saying on this channel for a long time, that right now so much about crypto is just pure speculation. In fact, he says the same thing, and he says ideally you would want 95% use case and 5% speculation, and right now it's more like 99% speculation and 1% use case. Another reason why I'm so big on Algorand, by the way, and this whole thing came up because someone asked him about Algorand and kind of his thoughts about proof of work versus proof of stake, etc. And then he kind of went into this talk that I think is really, really smart. So really what he's saying is that crypto needs to get to the point where it's really, really being used for there to be real value on the chain and for it to really matter outside of crypto enthusiasts. Now, I do think we're growing crypto enthusiasts every day too. So there is like actual growth in the ecosystem, but for it to really, really be part of the broader ecosystem, like it actually has to be used by just regular folk, and it has to be used by people who just aren't that crypto aware. It's kind of like, I liken it to like the personal computer era of the 80s, where or even like the late 70s, where you use a personal computer, you still had to be pretty adept at computers. They weren't very intuitive. You probably had to have at least some kind of basic programming skills. Even just to run programs, like you had to run from command line. There was no GUI yet. I mean, GUI changed the face of computers because it made it more intuitive so people could use it without really needing to understand computers. And I think crypto has not adopted its GUI yet. That's coming, I hope. I really hope. I think Algorand is in a good position for that, because a lot of real world stuff is already being done on Algorand. For example, Lofty AI, I talk about that a lot. This allows me to buy real estate that's tokenized on the Algorand blockchain, but it's actual real estate and you own a small portion of it and you get a small amount of rent from those holdings. So stuff like that, I think, but even that's a good example too, because Lofty would not be that intuitive for a non-crypto user. I wouldn't send that to like one of my relatives and say, hey, you can figure this out. They wouldn't, I don't think they'd be able to figure it out. You still have to know some stuff about crypto to use it. Ideally, something like Lofty would get to the point where you just don't need to know anything. It's like you just sign up, oh cool, I can get these Lofty tokens. You wouldn't even care about the crypto. You wouldn't even know it's on Algorand maybe. I think that's the stuff that really matters. And you know, it kind of concludes by saying that Ethereum and Bitcoin, like one of the reasons these just aren't going to be successful long term is because there just aren't use cases for these because they're so slow. It's really hard. You need these extra layers on top of it to do stuff. There's things like Algorand, even Hedera, Cosmos. Like you don't need the extra layer. Like for example, imagine your computer was so slow that you had to have an extra box that you carried around with it to make it go fast. Well, you probably just get another computer, right? Well, that's the same thing with, I think, Ethereum and Algorand. Like you're just going to use Algorand because it works better. Now, there's obviously loyalty to Ethereum, there's network effect, and those are serious forces. You know, one of the reasons why Ethereum's price is so high is because of network effect plus vibe plus price go up. I mean, this is kind of the formula for crypto. It doesn't really have a ton of, I would say, speculation in place of crypto price goes up. I really mean speculation. That formula that allows Ethereum to thrive right now, and I think what he's saying is that eventually it's going to come down to use cases, and that's where some of these other layer ones are probably going to be more successful. Anyway, I thought that was a really interesting video. I thought it was worth reacting to. It's funny because like someone online said, oh, so like these two hated people, the only famous people that like Algorand are two hated people, you know, Martin Shkreli and Anthony Scaramucci. But I think they're both very smart people, and especially Shkreli, he like knows what he's talking about. If you watch his YouTube video, like you'll learn a ton. You will learn a ton about investing and about company research and just a number of other things related to that. So I actually really enjoy watching his YouTube videos. About the price thing, you can see his explanation of it on the My First Million podcast, which it's a good listen. You know, I kind of see where he's coming from. I kind of disagree. I think it was price gouging is a little much. I mean, I understand like raising prices because with a drug company, you have like a 10-year window to basically make back your investment, and then the generics can come on the market. So it is a short window, and you do have to, you know, companies do have to be profitable. But the particular drug he was talking about, that was a pretty extreme price gouge. So I don't want to get into that too much. I'll leave that for other people to talk about. But otherwise, I'm Frugal BC. Stay safe out there, and I will see you in the future.